content warning, there is swearing, gore, and body horror, so viewer discretion is advised. If you are uncomfortable with any of these scenarios, please click away and watch another video. Thank you and enjoy. I've been running and fighting all my life. I found a sanctuary, a place to call home. However, once again, they're taking it all away from me. But should I stay, or do I flee? No, let them bruise me again. I won't back down, even if it all caves in. I would rather be here than there. Well, JoJo Part 9, JoJo Lands, is confirmed. As of writing this, there is no information about JoJo Land's story, characters, or setting. So, while we wait, I would like to share my concept idea for my own fan-made JoJo part. Just to clarify, this is an incompleted concept, so if it feels kind of rushed at the end, you know why. Let's start off with creating the setting. I had so many concepts and ideas that I rejected, from Paris, France, Seoul, South Korea, to even Switzerland. But a dead writer once said, "Write what you know," and I have never been to any of these places in my life. But what places have I been to? Well, some of my fondest memories were walking around anime conventions, hotels, and huge shopping malls. So I decided to roll with that idea. While researching for this video, I found out that one of the oldest malls ever in the world is in Milan, Italy. Huh, fitting. It's called the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II, named after the first king of Italy. Another fact that I learned was that some of these dying malls are being turned into condominiums. Keep that in the back of my mind. I also wanted to showcase the liminal space aesthetic as it deals with empty industrial spaces that used to be full of life. Look, I know a lot of people see these types of places as creepy or uncanny, but for me, they're so peaceful, quiet, and serene. Ah, my happy place. Other aesthetics I looked into were hyperpop, Y2K, vaporwave, scene queen emo fashion, and early 2000s funky digital futurism. They all sort of overlap each other and invoke an essence of nostalgia. Imagine an abundance of Pepto-Bismol pink with neon colors found on a Windows 98 version of Microsoft Paint. Digital Get Down by NSYNC, Nightcore, Blingy, DDR, Butterfly Clips, early 2000s anime, Hatsune Miku, Eurodance, Bratz dolls, the PlayStation 2 games, Kingdom Hearts 2, and Dot Hack Infection, 90s Target, Libby Lou, Linkin Park, Invader Zim, Cyber Gods Dancing Under the Bridge, and when Hot Topic had this logo! Oh yeah, it's all coming together. This is a setting that has an identity crisis in the changing of times. A giant mega mall that has everything under the sun, and people could even live in this establishment. Along with the more wacky high fashion influences, and we have the perfect storm of chaotic energy needed for this JoJo fan part. Now the real fun begins. We can finally introduce the main characters and their stands. Oh boy, strap in because this section is gonna be long. Let's start off with our JoBros first because a main JoJo is only as good as their friends. Starting off with our main JoBro, 23-year-old Rowan Holiday and his stand, Blue Moon. Rowan is normally a level-headed person. However, he is highly superstitious about everything and follows these old wives' tales to the letter. He knows every type of superstition under the sun, from the more common ones like don't step on a crack or you break your mother's back, to don't wear purple on New Year's or have it as your wedding color as it's considered bad luck. His stand, Blue Moon, is an artificial humanoid stand that has the power to change the luck of people as well as make superstitions the user says come to life. Rowan would have to put down specific conditions such as a color or a number amount. Most of the time, for defensive reasons, he'd use bad luck to harm his enemies. He can also cast good luck charms too. For example, he'd say, "Your left palm will be itchy for 5 minutes." An itchy palm means you'll get money in the future. Another thing this stand can do is shoot beams of light out of its forehead, and this ability is more powerful during a full moon. Of course, it can also do close combat. However, depending on what day of the week it is, Blue Moon's strength can change drastically. Sunday and Wednesday are the strongest days, but Monday is the weakest. And for good reason. Character number 2 is the youngest member of the group, 19-year-old Avril Octavio. Sure, she may be an adult, but she's still got the maturity of a high school teenager. Avril is self-centered, defiant, and very outspoken to the point where her brutally honest comments can push people away. She's the daughter of a very powerful CEO and had the world handed to her. Avril's stand is called Love Fool, and it's a humanoid long-range stand. It has the ability to change one's perception of time and space by showing the enemy what they desire most, and so they become lost in their own minds. Love Fool does this by spinning the target in ribbon-like cocoons, immobilizing them. These hallucinations can range from memories of the past or create worlds from your wildest imagination. It can also use its ribbon-like whips to attack from 20 meters away. Next, we have Maya Skita. On the outside, she's the most prim and proper lady, holding traditional values on what a woman should be. However, if you get under her skin enough, she'll become every retail worker's worst nightmare. An entitled Karen. Her stand is an artificial humanoid stand called the Garden of Eden. It has the power to make people's oxygen into greenhouse gases and cause them to explode. It can also plant seeds inside of a person's body, sometimes resulting in corpse flowers. These flowers, while beautiful to look at, smell disgusting and are parasitic in nature, as they feed off of the remains of the enemy. Maya was formerly classmates with the main JoJo alongside her boyfriend way back when they were in high school. Nowadays, she's a model and a socialite. Maya's boyfriend is named Theros Becto and is the last Joe Bro for the main cast. Theros isn't the type of guy who speaks out his mind and is always prioritizing his girlfriend over himself. A simp! Along with his more doomer outlook on life, it's a miracle at all that he gained a stand of his own. Theros' stand is called September Rain. It's a non-artificial humanoid. It has the power to rain an array of colors that can permanently damage the skin, and its drops are as hot as the sun. Range of this attack is almost limitless, and if provoked, the rain can go from a drizzle to a hurricane, even in enclosed spaces. As stated earlier, he was classmates with the main JoJo and Maya. Throughout the story, Theros' relationship would really be put to the test, even going as far as to breaking up with Maya. Finally, we have the main JoJo, 26-year-old Jonara Joannidi. She deeply cares about those around her, but isolates herself from others. For you see, her stand, Art Pop, is dangerous even to her. It's a close-range stand that can permanently distort people's body parts or objects to look like avant-garde surrealist art. She does have a body count and curses her stand as if it were the Midas touch. She even thinks that's what her stand ability is, which is false. It only affects things Jonara or Art Pop punches, not touches. Alright, with the main character set in place, let me show you the story I had written so far. A story about running away and how one person's distorted view of the world can damage everything around them. So sit back as I show you the melting portrait. Our tale begins in a mega mall known as the End of the World Shopping Center. In the abandoned E-Wing, on the 3rd floor is a woman with wild pink hair and a long jacket, hiding from the various security cameras as she sneaks off into the food court. This woman is our protagonist, 26-year-old Jonara Joannidi. Jonara is born from the Joestar family tree and revels in living in the confines of this shopping complex. It's her little slice of heaven. She's been living here since she ran away from home at 16. Now, just like the other Joestars in her family, she was born with a stand. But unlike them, she's terrified of the sheer destructive power her abilities possess. Her personal motto is that she won't use them unless it's completely necessary. And it looks like today might be that day. While trying to sneak off into the staff rooms of the food court, she bumps into 23-year-old Rowan Holiday, who recently just came out of the men's restroom trying to reverse a multitude of superstitions. "Hey, watch where you're going, you!" Before he could put another word in, she was already scurrying off to the back room. Sorry, I'm late for my shift," she says, lying through her teeth. Suspicious of the current turn of events, Rowan decides to follow her to the back. Peeking behind the door, she sees her stealing fries and nuggets from the storage boxes. Jonara turns around to see Rowan and scampers out of the room. She doesn't care that he saw, she just wants the food. "Hey, stop!" That is, until her long jacket trips over a child with an ice cream cone in its hands, and then it lands onto Rowan's pants. The world feels frozen as the child's mother is about to walk up to Jonara to scold her. Ignoring the mother, she sees Rowan behind her, except his cautious demeanor turns dark. "You bitch! These were my favorite pants! You're going to pay for this!" Pay? I don't have any money." "Money? No, you will pay with your luck. In 3 months' time, you will meet a horrible fate. But for now, if you take 13 steps towards me or step on one of the tile cracks, you will trip on your ankle." Jonara raises an eyebrow and scoffs at the notion. "All this for chasing me down and getting ice cream on your pants? Oh, you gotta be kidding me." She begins to walk away from Rowan, but then trips, just like he said. Jonara shook it off and then started walking towards him, and then trips over again. "I'm not fazed by your silly tricks, man. This was just a coincidence." "Oh, is it now?" Rowan walks backwards, counting 15 steps in his mind. The other patrons pass by in awe as Jonara gets up and begins to walk towards him. Once more, she steps on a crack, falling face down into the ground. "This is impossible. What kind of magic are you pulling?" "It's not magic. It's my stand ability." Only Jonara can see the stand revealing itself in front of her. "Blue Moon is able to make superstitions into reality. It just so happens to be your unlucky day." Jonara's eyes widen. Her heart begins to beat faster. "Stands? No way. I never thought I'd see another one of those again." Jonara's knees begin to shake as she tries to stand up. She dusts herself off and turns away from Rowan. "I refuse to fight you. Just leave me alone." As she walked away, Rowan called out, "Oh, so you're a coward then?" He's met with silence. "Hey, answer me! We're not done here yet!" Jonara turns around. She whispers the name of her stand. It appears and punches a chair and table. The furniture began to warp and change, breaking then reforming as if it were a Windows 95 screensaver, till finally they stopped moving, turning into a Memphis-style cubism sculpture. The tension in the air spoke for itself. Now, imagine if that was your arm. Rowan backs up slowly. The sheer horror of the mental image forming in his brain made him a tad queasy. "I'm not scared of a sculpture." The stand punches a nearby potted plant. Its leaves change and deform into a mini melting palm tree with a purple trunk and little black and white squiggly dots. The pot is transparent, with a grid-like pattern, as if it were a polygonal 3D object from a computer game. And now, Rowan tries to stand his ground, but she could see the fear in his eyes. "I'm sparing you the trouble. Stand down." Rowan retires. Jonara calls off her stand. "If I see you using your stand again, I won't hesitate," she says with an air of anxiety. As Jonara begins to walk away, Rowan calls out to her. "Wait!" He swiftly marches towards her, placing an arm on her shoulder. "I grant you good fortune. I revoke my previous curse as an apology. In the future, you shall win an impossible victory." Jonara looks at Rowan with an understanding yet confused look and walks away, back toward the E-wing. He secretly follows her to the abandoned wing to see her sit down and eat the fries from her pocket. She then goes into the abandoned mattress store and lays down to rest on one of the unsold mattresses. Rowan feels horrible about the earlier transgression, seeing Jonara like this. He promises to himself to meet with Jonara tomorrow and try to befriend the mall rat. The next day, Rowan intrudes into the E-wing to see Jonara reading Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie from the old bookstore. He apologizes for interrupting. "I came to see you. I felt bad after yesterday. I totally overreacted." You think? Stand fights are serious business, dude. You should be counting your blessings that I didn't turn you into some surrealist sculpture." "Then why did you hold back?" Jonara paused. She dog-eared the page of the book and placed it down near her side. She couldn't articulate a proper response. The reason was far too personal. "I'm not one to hurt an innocent, especially with my stand. But enough about me. I barely know who you are." "Oh, right. I'm Rowan, and you already know my stand, Blue Moon. So, what's your name?" "Jonara. My stand is called Art Pop. As I demonstrated yesterday, my stand can punch things and they turn into avant-garde pieces of art." "Is it permanent?" "Yes." The two sit in silence for a little while until Rowan speaks up. "So, you live here?" "Yes." "Why, are you bankrupt or something? Maybe they kicked you out of your house?" "No." "Then why live in the closed-off section of the mall?" "Because I can." "That's not really an answer." "Why do you want to know so badly? In fact, why do you even care?" "I wanted to see if you needed help." Offended by this statement, Jonara went back to reading her book, ignoring the many questions Rowan was spewing out. Eventually, he asked a question that struck a nerve with her. "Don't you have any family?" Jonara slammed the book shut and threw it across the room. It hit on the opposite wall near a display of pillows. "My family is dead to me." Rowan saw the anger boiling over in her eyes. He cautiously asked one final question. "Then, why are you alone?" Jonara got up from her mattress and went to pick up the book she threw. "It was a difficult choice I had to make. It was to protect the lives of everyone around me. You know how dangerous my stand is. You shouldn't even be around me." "Isolating yourself isn't going to solve all your problems." "Then what am I supposed to do? This stand, it's my own personal curse. I don't want to hurt people." Rowan looks back up to see Jonara punching a wall, thinking carefully on his words, but he decided to bite his own tongue. He realized there was nothing he could do for her. Rowan got up from the mattress and began to walk away. "I'm going to the food court. If you want, I could buy you a meal." Without hesitation, Jonara followed him. Rowan gives her a warm smile, and the two make their way off to get food. The sun begins to set, and a 19-year-old girl with long lavender hair walks toward the E-wing, tearing down a bit of the caution tape. She sits on a bed in the abandoned mattress store. Man, this place has everything! I think I'm gonna like it here. Meanwhile, Rowan and Jonara come back from the food court. I need to go grab a few things from my car. I'll be back in a few. Rowan takes his leave as Jonara comes back to the E-wing with bags of extra food. She hears cracks of glass coming from the back of the store, and out comes the lavender-haired girl, sporting a yellow ribbon in her hair. Hey kid, beat it! This is my turf! She yells at the young lady. Ha! Finders keepers! No one tells Avril Octavio what to do! Get out of here, kid! I won't ask you again! Avril decides that it's best to take action and brings forth a stand. You want your turf back? I got it. Go for it! Love Fool! The stand lunges forward to attack and is blocked by Art Pop. Love Fool keeps punching at max speed, with Art Pop blocking every punch, matching her dexterity. Jonara scoffs. Huh, guess my old man was right. Stand magnetism totally exists. Breathing heavily, Avril decides to create an illusion with Love Fool's special ability. But before she could snap her fingers, Rowan returns from his car. Hey, Jonara, I got that. Whoa! Who the heck are you? Ah, so the Hobo Queen has a friend. Well, I might as well wrap both of you up! Love Fool creates a bunch of ribbons to wrap both him and Jonara, and now they're trapped in their own illusions. Jonara's eyes slowly wake to the sound of someone familiar. Jojo, are you okay? That voice, it was the sound of her sister. What are you doing in the mall? The mall? What kind of wonky dreams have you been having? Anyway, breakfast is downstairs. Jonara rubs her eyes to see that she's back in her old childhood home, a fancy, luxurious house outside of the city's borders. She looked in the mirror to see that she was 16 again. Jonara held back from punching the mirror and decided to change her clothes. Her mother and father were setting up the table. This was totally a dream, right? She looked at the calendar. May 19th, 3 days after her fight with that boy from school. It's impossible. She should have been expelled or in jail by now. Good morning, Jonara, Giuseppina, her father said as he put his phone down on the table. Morning, Mom, Dad. What's with that look on your face, dear? Her mother asked with concern. Oh, it's nothing. Gee, I don't remember. We don't have school today, right? Giuseppina slams her hands down on the table. Yes, we do. Don't you remember? I helped you all last night to make that project for class. Now, Giuseppina, don't yell at the table. Giuseppina crosses her arms and pouts like a child. Oh, I forgot. Since when did I have a project to turn in? This has gotta be a dream. Hey Dad, on Friday, do you remember if I told you about my stand? Her father puts down his coffee cup. Yes, you told me it was a false apparition. I never said that. I said that Jonara, look at the time! We're going to be late for school! Giuseppina grabbed her hand and the two of them rushed upstairs. She then paused and looked back at her sister. Hey, Jojo. Let's pretend that incident at school never happened, okay? How did you... Let's forget it happened, okay? Jonara nodded her head. Something about this didn't feel right. Maybe the mall thing was a dream? Jonara and her sister went to go grab their backpacks. As she exited her bedroom, something really felt off. This project that her sister was talking about. What was it? Jonara went to the room across the way to see a medium-sized statue covered with a tarp. She uncovered it, and to her horror, she remembered. This statue was the corpse of her sister. There you are. Let's go to school, shall we? Stop. You're not real. None of this is real. I'm still in the mall, aren't I? Jojo, you're scaring me. You're not even supposed to be here because you're dead. Giuseppina slowly clapped, revealing herself to be Lovefool, acting as a mouthpiece for Avril. You're smarter than you look, Hobo Queen. I used your memories to create the perfect life for you. One where your twin was alive and you didn't have to worry about your past, and you'll be living the happiest life possible. You've always wanted that, right? You don't know what I've been through. The horror of these powers. It was foolish of you to run away, right? Suddenly, there was a burst through the door. It was Rowan. Jonara, let's get... What is that? Rowan saw the disturbing statue behind the two girls. How did you get out so easily? It was pure luck. But what is that thing? That is my past. The reason why I live in the mall now. I really don't understand why you ran away from the consequences of your actions. That's so immature of you. And why did you decide to take my turf, huh? Lovefool glared at the duo. Simple. I wanted to be free from my parents' grasp. And the mall is like the greatest place to be in. The ultimate freedom. Rowan smirked. And you say that Jonara is the immature one? You don't know what it's like to be left to your own devices till one day your family decides to do things for you. Lovefool lunges at Rowan using its ribbons as whips. Rowan uses Blue Moon to punch Lovefool in the face. Jonara frantically tries to use her stand to create objects to throw at Lovefool. Rowan, how did you escape from your ribbons? Blue Moon threw another punch at Lovefool. It was easy. I destroyed the memory I wanted to change. Jonara hesitantly looked at the corpse statue. She brought out Art Pop and threw a plethora of punches at it until it was an unrecognizable bloody pulp. Soon, the illusion turned into another memory of a different fight. Rain pouring, and two students were trying to help their beaten-down friend, and two other mysterious students watching in horror at the sight. Jonara looked at Lovefool and Rowan as they stopped to see the atrocity in its entirety. Someone get help! Cried one student. Jojo! What the hell was that monster? Said a female student, backing away from her. The memory continued, and the bullies went to find a teacher. Jonara looked back at her classmates, and they looked away in shame. Jonara reenacted the memory by running away. The illusion fades. Avril is on her knees. I know you ran away to be free, but I ran away for my own reasons. I can't face the world after I harmed someone so severely. You gotta understand, what you're running from is trivial. Avril looked up at Jonara with anger in her eyes. I want to do whatever I want, and so I'm not gonna leave this place. Fine. You can stay. Yeah, you heard her. Wait, what? She can stay?
I can stay?
If you answer this one question, why would you run away from your home? Wouldn't your family miss you? Avril clenched her fists and turned away.
I was always told how to live my life. My parents didn't care who I was as a person. All they cared about was me upholding their legacy. They even planned an arranged marriage to some guy of an architecture company who I haven't even met yet.
Rowan takes out his phone and begins Googling Avril's name. Wait, who are you again?
I told you! Avril Octavio!
He shows a picture to Jonara of Avril as a child with the president of Octavio Incorporated. She's the daughter of Elio Octavio, creator of the famous social media site Blue Text and the Clusters 7000X. Jonara looked at Avril, then back at the phone in disbelief. Oh, you've gotta be kidding me. Wouldn't there be media coverage of your disappearance? Avril crosses her arms.
Not really. It's not like anyone cares about me. They only care about who I'm related to.
Jonara sighs. I'll set up a bed for you for one of the other mattresses. When the mall closes, we can raid the empty apartments in the D wing for facilities. And if you need anything else, like food, you'll need to take it sneakily. Avril hugs Jonara.
Thank you!
Yeah, whatever. Just stay out of my way, alright? Are you sure this is a good idea? Jonara looks back at Rowan, hesitant to answer. We're two sides of the same coin. We're both running from our pasts. Avril lets go and is told to wait in the other store across the way, while Jonara begins setting up a mattress for her. Oh, and before I leave for the night, I wanted to give you this. Rowan hands Jonara some pocket money, a blanket, and an electric tea kettle. He heads off for the night. Jonara looks back at Avril. We're both runners, but for two very different reasons. 3 days later, Avril is able to buy clothes with her debit card. She didn't tell Jonara about that till after they stole some pies from back in the food court. How about you get a part-time gig at the mall? That way you could get more money. Avril looks at her with disgust.
Ew! Isn't that for poor people? No offense, Jojo.
Okay, 1, you don't get to call me Jojo. 2, we are poor. And 3, if I got a job, they might find me out and I might go to jail.
Okay, I see your point. I'll go down to the Tracy's in the A wing and then try to get myself hired.
Remind me again, how old are you?
19. I'm practically an adult.
And you're practically a thorn in my side. We see Avril got hired at Tracy's and is working as a clerk managing the register. A pushy woman with a large hat-like hair bun and a shaky-looking man come waltzing into the store.
Where's Sophia? She said she would be here to talk to me. I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't know who you're talking about.
The man looks at the name tag and taps the angry woman's shoulder. Maya, dear, I think this is a new clerk. Maya looks again at the young lady and then gets even angrier.
Does it look like I care, Theros? Where's my stylist?
Just then, Sophia walks out. Sorry for the wait. My previous client was taking forever. Now then, shall we, Miss Skeeter? The three of them leave towards the back rooms. A few moments later, we cut to Avril's lunch break as she's telling the exact story to her friends.
The woman didn't even apologize to me. Can you believe it?
That's retail for you. Customers always right my ass, Rowan says as he takes a bite out of his rigatoni. Well, that's just something you gotta endure in life in general. No one is going to treat you like a princess. Just then, a strange, familiar sight comes walking by their table. It's the couple from the clothing store.
Oh no, I think that's them.
Avril sinks down into her chair as the two walk towards Jonara and company. Jonara turns to have a proper look at them. Her eyes widen as she recognizes the couple as more than a Karen and her simp boyfriend. Jonara? Is that you? Maya, Theros, what are you two doing here? I was just about to ask you the same thing. Theros shyly waves at Jonara. So this is where you've been all these years, hiding out at the mall like some kind of stalker. Maya looks down at Avril, who is slowly sinking to the bottom of her chair. Oh, hey, you? Avril, what, did you chicken out of your job? I swear, children these days. Avril stands up, ready to fight. You, lady, need to apologize to me. Maya looks at her with a seething glare. Excuse me? How dare you try to pick a fight with me? You don't know what you're dealing with. Rowan grabs Avril's hand. It's not worth it! It's so worth it! I've never been so humiliated in my life! Stressed beyond belief, Jonara throws her hand into the air and slams it on the table. That's enough! Both of you. Kid, lay off. That's right, lay off, Maya said, nodding her head in agreement. And you need a chill pill. Theros pets her back calmly, extinguishing the flames of the fight. They both sit down calmly. Theros looks towards Jonara. Sorry again, Jojo. She's still quite a handful. That's all right. I'm surprised that you two are still together. Rowan looks back at Avril, who's pouting in the corner while looking at her phone. He then looks to Maya, who's giving him the side eye. Rowan politely interrupts the two catching up. I hate to be that guy, but how do you three know each other? Theros pauses and looks back at the confused boy. The three of us used to be classmates. We were best friends in high school. Yeah, until that freak accident happened. Rowan stood up from his seat, shocked. You mean that rainy day?
Yes, Rowan, that rainy day.
Avril interrupted as she was scrolling through her phone. Rowan sat back down. He did remember two other mystery kids during Love Fool's illusion. Wait a minute, how do you know about that day? Maya asked curiously. Well, Jonara told us. Jonara silently nods in agreement. Avril interjects.
No, I used my stand to comb through her memory, and you guys were there.
Maya and Theros are shocked, and Rowan's face grows cold. Avril, I don't think it's a good idea to talk about your psychic abilities. Jonara nodded, with a silent look of panic in her face. Then you at least told them how the fight happened, right, Jonara? Jonara slid down into her seat. As expected of a coward, Maya accuses. It's okay if we don't want to talk about it, said Theros. Maya slams her hand down on the table. Unacceptable! If you won't talk, then I will. You really don't have to, Maya. I just want to forget about it. Because you were the one that caused it. Maya, that's enough! The room goes silent. Avril's phone beeps. It's an alarm that reads, break done.
I'll see you later, Jonara.
Rowan waves goodbye and looks back at Jonara, who's totally dying inside, holding her chest as it grows tighter and tighter. Well, it's best if we go off too. Come along, Theros. Maya gets up from her chair, and she and Theros begin to walk away from the situation. Jonara tries to shake off the feeling, but is unable to. She asks Rowan to come back with her to the E-Wing for a little chat. And, well, that's where it kind of ends. I didn't have time to fully finish the rest of this story properly. However, I'm willing to share everything else I had planned, including the ending and villain concepts. So let's take a look at what I drew and other concepts I have brainstormed. Okay, so some of these ideas are not even in full chronological order of the plot, and some information may be emptier than others, so just please bear with me. First, we have the twins, Palmiro and Sabato Gemello. They are friends of Avril and used to go to the same school as her. Sabato is a sweet guy whose gentlemanly nature is really hard to resist. Meanwhile, Palmiro is a baddie who totally has the facade of looking really sweet, but is actually cold-hearted. Literally a cinnamon roll that could kill you. The twins have stands known as Pretty Little Psycho, or PLP, and Super Psycho Love, SPL. And their powers work together nicely to narrow one's mind and vision. PLP is Sabato's stand, and the victims become narrow-sighted and their vision becomes blurry as if you're wearing a horse blinder. SPL is Palmiro's stand, and the victim becomes narrow-minded, losing their inhibitions to eventually become animalistic. Avril would engage them in a battle alone. Jonara eventually swoops in to help her later on, basically scaring off the twins. Avril realizes that she doesn't have to face everything on alone, and that she has someone to fall back on. In the end, the twin status is retired. Pecora Ofiro. Okay, she's not really evil per se, but is definitely an antagonistic force towards specifically Jonara. Pecora is the half-sibling of Rowan. Her personality can best be described as apathetic towards most people, especially those who are close with her half-sibling. Her stand is a tiny little wooden fairy known as Tchaikovsky. It has the power to transform someone into wood and make them dance. The longer this ability is implemented, the more permanent the effects are. Obviously, Rowan would have to fight their half-sibling with Jonara stepping in, as she doesn't want Rowan to make the same mistake she did. Once again, another villain retired, but with the cost of Rowan having a wooden foot. The next enemy stand user we have is Vesper Vincent. She searches for people to literally feed off of their emotions with her stand, Laugh Track. This emotional vampire is a double-edged sword. It can sabotage both themselves and others within their range. They will literally suck out any strong emotion like extreme happiness or depression, leaving the enemy monotone and emotionally numb. The person to most likely engage in battle with them is Theros. As it fully aligns with his character arc, he realizes that Maya may not be the right person for him and ends up finally speaking his mind after years of being in this one-sided relationship where Maya has been undermining him. I haven't fully figured out how in the world that Theros would win this fight, but I know that Vesper's status afterward is definitely retired. And Theros would probably ask Vesper for her number, and possibly a healthier relationship could form. It could be either romantic or platonic. Again, I really haven't decided. Funny enough, while I was actually writing this script, I actually switched Pecora and Vesper's stand last minute because they fit more with one another. That's the beauty of an unfinished concept. The last minor antagonist I drew, which would probably turn into a minor ally later on, is Antonilo Stabber in his stand, Keyman. Keyman has the power to see into the memories of people, places, and things if the stand touches it. With its key finger hands, it could also unlock doors or even suppress memories. At first, this power is too disturbing for the main cast to handle, but eventually it proves useful later on, but I'll get back to that in a moment. By the end of the story, however, Antonilo might not make it. Like the previous fight I've mentioned, I don't know how they're going to win the day without some harm coming Anatonilo's way. Once again, the beauty of an unfinished concept. A stand user that I never got around to designing has probably the best concept I had ever come up with. In the story, Maya's friend and fellow socialite Roxana Burns is having a baby shower in one of the fancy restaurants in the mall. Avril and Jonara are brought on as helpers to decorate for the party. However, things take a turn for the worse when a baby shower game goes horribly wrong, and now everything in a 1,600-meter radius is now trapped in a muted sound barrier. Now here's the twist. Roxana isn't the stand user. Her unborn is. Because what's worse than a baby stand user? A fetus stand user. The stand is called Quiet Lights. Quiet Lights can steal sound when you enter the barrier, but once you're in, not a sound can be heard. No talking, no heartbeat, not a ring in your ears or a pin dropping on the ground. Pure and utter silence. The only one that can hear you is the stand itself. Now, obviously, this stand does retire because it's a fetus. Even though there is an option to harm it, Roxana doesn't want to. Her baby is important as they are going to be the heir of her husband's entertainment company. This foreshadows events to come in the climax. Now, before I go off to give you all the climax, we have to make a quick detour as I want to give you all Melting Portrait's Joestar family tree. Okay, this is about to get real funky. I mean, it's not entirely relevant to the story, but I really wanted to share this. So, here's my take of the Joestar family line in this alternate universe. I'll put color stars next to characters that would be mainline JoJo's in this universe. George Joestar is a prospector during the Klondike Gold Rush of 1896. He later married a woman named Marnie, who then had two boys named Jonathan and Antoine Joestar. In this universe, Jonathan's nickname was Jonah. Jonah then later marries a woman named Irina, who they then have a daughter together, Elizabeth, who marries George Harrison, no relation to the musician. They then have a girl named Josie, who later marries a man named Minoru Kujo, to then later have 3 children of her own, Hanako, Joji, and Jozuichi Kujo. Before I move on to Antoine's side of the family, for anybody asking about Danny, he's a little zebra finch in this universe. Look at him. He's so tiny and cute. Okay, this is where things are about to get really interesting on Antoine's side of the family. He marries an Italian woman named Diana Brando. That's right, baby! I gender Badio! What are you gonna say about that? Is she a good mother? No, not really. But she does give birth to 3 of her own children, Rita, Luciano, and Vera. Rita stays as an unmarried woman for the rest of her life because she's Miss Independent. Luciano recently got married to a woman named Renee. And then there's Vera, who marries a man named Nicolaus Joannidi. Together they have 2 children, Bella and Marcello. Unable to control her newly manifested stand, Bella passes away. Her brother was devastated by this loss and vowed to train himself hard in perfecting his stand abilities. Later on, Marcello marries a woman named Anita. She later gives birth to twins, Giuseppina and Jonara. To explain the flashback in the Love Fool fight, after Jonara unlocked her stand ability, she got into a very verbal fight with her sister, which then escalated. Giuseppina is now fully disfigured by the effects of Jonara's stand, and because of this, she dies. This was the start of Jonara beginning to fear her own stand. When discovered by Marcello, he decides to cover it up to the rest of the extended family as sort of a freak accident in the art studio in which there was an intruder with a stand. Along with the school bully incidents, this sort of breaks Jonara into never using her stand in the fear of harming others. This is why she has isolated herself in the abandoned wing of the mall. Alright, so this is it. The final section, the climax of the melting portrait. Like I said earlier, this concept is not fully completed or anything, so if things sound kind of off or funky, that's why. So, let's begin. So remember earlier when Rowan said that Avril was the daughter of a CEO named Elio Octavio? Well, surprise, surprise, he's working with the young 21-year-old billionaire CEO of a building company. His name is Jaromir Conte. He wants to tear down the mall to make room for a brand new, digitally run hotel sponsored by Octavio Incorporated. Elio also had made a deal with Jaromir's parents when his wife was pregnant with Avril to hand his daughter off in marriage in order to properly have an heir to Octavio Incorporated. Yeah, a male heir. Yikes. Well, there's two main problems with the demolition. One, Jonara and Avril are still living in the abandoned E-Wing, and two, the building inspectors keep going missing. Now, this is where things get a little foggy. Jaromir is supposed to be a stand user. However, I never really got as far as to creating a proper stand ability for him, as I was on the fence of even giving him one. But there's a reason for that, and I'll come back to that in just a hot minute. Anyway, Jonara makes a deal with Jaromir. If they can solve the mystery of the missing inspectors, Jonara can live at the new hotel for free, courtesy of Octavio Incorporated. If they can't find them within 2 weeks, Jonara will be forcibly removed and kicked out of the site, leaving her homeless on the street. So, the group is on the case. While trying to find a clue, Rowan finds Anatolino working on his own mystery about the shopping center. They tried to steal a pillowcase from one of the abandoned stores, but for some reason, the mall won't let him. Just so you all know, there aren't any security guards working at the mall. This comment kept the gears in Rowan's mind turning. However, Rowan decides to ask Anatolino to use his stand ability in order to find the missing building inspectors. He agrees, and Keyman is able to find a hidden room near the back of an abandoned shoe store. This particular shoe store was popular way back in the 1980s when the mall was first opened. They were surprised to see that there were still so many shoes in there. Rowan and Anatolino regroup with the rest of the crew to look inside the hidden door. They go down the stairs to find many different rooms that seem to be growing some form of mold or pulsating fungi. They find themselves in the boiler room, the heart of the mall's infrastructure. The smell of flooding water doesn't really smell like sewage. It smells worse, like fresh puke. Maya looks behind her and finds one of the building inspectors looking half alive, with his hands and face burned. With the last bit of energy, the inspector says, "Run, before you become one with it." The room and walls begin to violently shake and pulsate, and the gang quickly skedaddles out of there. Above ground, the demolition crews start to chip away at the first layer. But that still never fully explains things. There's no way to rescue any of the inspectors now. Just then, one of the demolition crew members informs the group of the blockage near the first floor of the E-Wing, as rubble cannot be removed outside of the mall, just like how the stolen pillows can't exit the mall. This makes no sense, Avril cries. If you buy something from the mall, you can exit just fine, but trying to forcibly remove something within the mall causes this strange barrier reaction. To test this theory, there's only one thing to do. Go on a shopping spree! Each member of the group buys one item while Jonara and Anatolino grab a piece of rubble and a pair of unsold shoes from the abandoned shoe shop. They meet near the A-Wing restaurant entrance for the ultimate test. One by one, each of the members exit the mall with their purchase in hand. Nothing happens. Jonara decides to fling her piece of rubble outside, and it almost hits Maya's car in the process. However, the rubble begins to move slowly like a slug as it crawls itself to the entrance door. Anatolino grabs the unpurchased shoes and uses Keyman to figure out why these shoes were abandoned. And then, it all made sense. Flashback to 2008. The once thriving shoe store is now shutting its doors due to bankruptcy. After their everything must go sale, 2 employees find a large amount of shoes in the back of the store. Thinking they could get away with free shoes to resell online, they packed up the shoes and tried to take them. Later, when at the entrance of the E-Wing, they couldn't take the shoes out, much like how the group in the present can't leave without payment. But with a larger sum of items, the 2 workers begin to feel a rumble beneath their feet. The floor opens up to reveal the metal pipes of the mall. They kind of look like teeth. The floor swallows the 2 employees whole into the basement. The shoes were then put back by the mall itself, sluggishly slithering back to the shoe store. The group soon came to realize that this mall isn't just an ordinary building. It's a stand. The end of the world shopping center is a living, breathing bound stand held together by flesh, iron, and concrete. In order to take anything outside of the mall, there must be an equivalent exchange of commerce. Fail to do so, and you'll be assimilated into the mall itself as an exchange for your life. Relaying this information to the rest of the group, it made sense why there was no security guards in the mall and why Jonara wasn't even kicked out without getting caught. The mall is his own security. But who built the mall, and how is the stand even active? There were so many questions. Theros decided to search online the history of the mall, and apparently this is a place that changes shapes with the time period, and it's said to house the lost souls of the damned. Now, I wasn't able to finish the entire story, but I knew that Anatolino would die while trying to go off on his own to attack the mall's insides, and then the crew would have to stop Jaromir from tearing down the mall, and then Jonara would use her stand to the fullest near the heart of the mall, and then the building would collapse, and then Jonara sort of climbs out of the rubble, thanks everybody, and then dies. Like I stated earlier, this is an incompleted concept, so there are things that could potentially be added or changed later on down the line. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this little concept video and me just rambling out my brain juices to show you all my blorbos. I kinda wanna know what you guys thought. Maybe leave a comment down below to tell me your thoughts on these characters. Maybe things that I should add or change or whatever. Any suggestion would help at this point. Well, I'm gonna go take a nap now. See you guys later.